Are you sitting down? Donald Trump just hit a new low. I know you're thinking that's not possible, but he did it. Donald Trump just pardoned a man who's responsible for killing more Americans than bin Laden on 9/11. And the worst part, I'm not exaggerating, yet corporate media is not covering this angle. I'm Dean Obeidallah, and welcome to today's Daily Dean. You may have seen some headlines this week that Donald Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras, Juan Hernández. You maybe even saw that he was involved in drug dealing. What I doubt you saw is how many Americans died because of what he did. Let's take a step back. Juan Hernández was active in politics in Honduras for decades. He first ran for Congress, then became president from 2014 to 2022. During his time in politics, and especially as president, this guy's real business was not politics. His real business was drug dealing. As our Department of Justice said in 2022, Hernandez was, quote, at the center of one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies in the world. In the world. After Hernandez leaves office in 2022, he's charged and extradited to America. He stands trial. And in 2024, after a 3-week trial, he was convicted of numerous felonies for trafficking cocaine and the use of weapons in a massive drug trafficking scheme. It was you, as the Department of Justice proved at trial, Hernandez received millions of dollars from drug traffickers as bribes and used that to fuel his career as well as profit, of course. And what he did was ingeniously diabolical. He would actually work with the U.S. government when he was president of Honduras to say, I'm helping you crack down on drug dealers. But guess which drug dealers he cracked down on? His competition. I'm not kidding. So his competitors, he would give up to the U.S. and go, these are bad drug dealers. But people on his side who gave him bribes or were part of the conspiracy, he protected them. Look, this is worse than Scarface. What does Scarface have? Beautiful house, his little friend, a bunch of drug guys around. Hernandez had the entire government of Honduras on his side and used the entire apparatus to fulfill his dreams of being a drug lord and president at the same time. He was multitasking. Overall, Hernandez has proven at trial was responsible for bringing in more than 400 tons of cocaine into the United States of America. You know how much 400 tons is? That's 800,000 pounds. That is, people talk about a gram of coke. That's 363 million grams. And Hernandez enjoyed dumping the coke on Americans. At the trial, they introduced his statement that he had said in the past that he was boasting he would, quote, stuff the drugs up the gringos' noses. The gringos being Americans. But here's where the media is not connecting the dots. They have not told you how many Americans died from cocaine overdoses in the time that Hernandez was trafficking it and dumping it and flooding it in the United States of America. And if you see the graph, that it spiked in those years. So he becomes president of Honduras 2014. At that time, about 5,000 Americans died of cocaine overdoses. By the time he leaves office in 2022, we are now up to nearly 30,000 Americans dying of cocaine overdose. This is cocaine, not fentanyl. Cocaine. This is not a coincidence. As the U.S. attorney who prosecuted, Hernandez said after the trial that Americans bore the weight of the pain of this and that he had dumped millions of doses of cocaine on our streets and people died. There is blood on his hands, blood of Americans on his hands. In fact, Senator Jeanine Shaheen, a Democrat, actually said he has the blood of Americans on his hands after Trump pardoned him. What makes little sense, and even some Republicans pointed out, here's Donald Trump saying, I'm trying to keep you safe from drugs in Venezuela, so I'm going to kill fishermen and small boats. But at the same time, I'm going to release a drug dealer who's killed tens of thousands of Americans. Makes no sense, because none of it has to. Because who holds Trump accountable? Our media doesn't. Trump's DOJ won't hold him accountable. We know that. Republicans in Congress won't hold him accountable. That's the reality of this. So why did he do it? There's a lot of speculation. Some have talked about his cyber bros who backed him up. They have this little island off Honduras called Prospero. And somehow there's a connection with this leader, this former leader, and that island. Others have talked about the idea that maybe Hernandez can give him some intel so he can take over Venezuela because that's Trump's next goal. Others point blank just said Donald Trump got paid off, maybe in drug money. Here's the worst part of that. And you might not believe this, but it is the truth based on the law. Donald Trump could sell pardons to Hernandez or anyone, and we cannot criminally prosecute him. And you might be saying, what are you talking about? Well, the Supreme Court decision last year by the GOP corrupt Supreme Court ruled that any actions the president takes that are articulated in the Constitution, which is known as enumerated, such as the pardon power, He has absolute immunity. Absolute. We can't even look into the motive. You can't say, but he was selling it. It's bad faith. Nope. We can debate all day. Why would Donald Trump pardon this man who is convicted of numerous felonies for trafficking drugs, a man who is responsible for more deaths of Americans than bin Laden on 9/11? Why? Why? We might not know the exact reason, but we do know with 100% certainty that whatever the reason, is because Donald Trump believes it helps him personally. That can take to the bank, along with the money that Donald Trump might have gotten funneled to him to give this pardon. And that, my friends, is today's Daily Dean.